What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the NECA Ultimate Predator, the Alpha Predator, the 100th Special Edition figure. And so here we have the Alpha Predator pose and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at this figure, let's actually run through his accessories because the Alpha Predator does come with quite a bit. For starters, we do get 3 pairs of hands for the Alpha Predator. We do get a pair of open palmed hands. We do get a pair of fist hands. Then we also do get a pair of grip hands. The Alpha Predator also does come with his very interesting mask, and I do like the backstory behind this mask, and I'll go on to it in a little bit. We also do get his giant bone spear, which looks awesome. The amount of detail in this is phenomenal. I love this spear. We do get a sickle, which he can hold in either of his grip hands, and then he can store it on his belt, which is a really nice little detail. We also do get a bone shuriken, which I would be really careful with it because it does seem really brittle. He also does come with 2 different bone gauntlets that do fit on both of his arms. The bigger gauntlet goes on his right arm. The smaller gauntlet goes on his left arm. And then we also do get 2 giant bones which do peg onto both of the gauntlets. And it's just a really nice look for the Alpha Predator. Other than that, we don't get anything else for the Alpha Predator. What more do you want? There's already so much that we get with this figure, but there's so much more to him than just his accessories. So let's actually go on to his details, where I think this figure thrives on. And so here we have a closer look at the Alpha Predator. Now, I think NECA here has done an amazing job with this particular figure. I always say this when it comes to Marvel Legends, multiverse figures, or just any figure in general. There's no such thing as a perfect figure. But my goodness, this is damn close to a perfect figure. There is so much to love about the Alpha Predator here. Even if you're not a fan of the Predators, you gotta respect the amount of detail that just went into this figure. For starters, let's actually take a look at his face. Now, the reoccurring joke about Predator is that he is one ugly, you know the rest of it, but really, really loving just how primitive this guy looks. That's probably the best word I can describe him. He looks primitive. He looks very it's really hard to describe how he looks, but he looks like he's really primitive, really savage, has a lot of savagery in him. Just look at these tusks. He has tusks coming out where most Predators don't even have tusks. So you can see he does kind of have some things that most Predators don't have, because you can see a smaller tusk right there and right here. Really like the fact that his tusks and his mandibles are like this yellow color. It just looks really nice. And then we do have some detail right up here in his head. His face is just full of detail, like the amount of wrinkles and texture in his head. That's just beautiful. Beautiful on this really ugly mofo. You can see that his dreads, unlike most Predators, are actually white, and that's something that I do like about this figure, is that contrast is here where most Predators have dark colors. He's pretty much white, and that's really interesting. I didn't think we'd ever see a white Predator, and here we do have one. And unlike most Predators, he actually has his hair does go hair, quote unquote, his Predator dreads. We do have like a ponytail right up here that is separate from everything else. His dreads do go into the armor, which is surprising. You don't really see that too much on Predator figures, but I do like the fact that those dreads go into the armor, and then we have some hanging off the armor. He just looks really, really, really good. Really love the craftsmanship that went into this figure. So let's actually talk about his armor plating here. Unlike most Predators where they would have technology, he is wearing what looks like carcasses. He basically killed and slaughtered a bunch of creatures and is wearing them as trophies. That is the best way I can describe it, and that's the best way I can say it looks. And you know what? It's a look I absolutely adore, and this is one figure that I think that NECA has knocked it so far out of the park. It's in orbit, because there's a lot of detail. Even in his skin, you can see he has some yellow spots, which most predators do have spots, and I do like that little detail. But all that detail that comes in his skin, there's so much washes and dry brushing that all the little highlights and details in his armor, in his skin, they're brought out perfectly, and it's just so beautiful. This is a really gorgeous piece. Taking a look at his arms, you can see he does have a couple of spines from something that he probably killed. That's the best way I can describe it. He probably killed something and is wearing it as trophies. Now, we do have his bigger bone gauntlet right here, and I did take out this giant tusk, which does peg on right there. You can see just how much detail went into it. If we actually pull it off, because it is removable, it's the lower jaw of something. Now, I don't know what it was. I don't want to know what it was, but if the predator took it down, you know it wasn't an easy kill. And that just pegs on just nicely, and it does extend. That's something I wasn't expecting, that this primitive bone gauntlet would actually extend, and that's a really nice little detail right there. On this side, we do have his other bone gauntlets, where it's probably the top part of that thing that he killed, with some of its spine still attached. And just like with the other side, I did remove the tusk that does slide into this port, and again, it's just a really, really nice little detail here. And he's wearing what looks like a spine as a holster. It's not a belt because it's not keeping his pants up, but it does house his sickle, which that's a beautiful sculpt. Just look at the amount of detail that went into the sickle. And now the sickle is removable, and there's a little spot that you can hang it in, so I do like that. I think for the sake of the review, let's just take that out really fast. Going on to his loincloth, it is a really nice soft plastic, so I do like the fact that NECA is listening and giving us softer tunics for the Predator figures. So he is wearing some fur. You can see he has another skull right here. He is just adorned in these bones. They don't look like bones, but they're not armor. He's just like wearing carcasses, carapaces of things that he probably killed, and you know what? It looks really nice. I love the bronze that is brushed onto it. These are separate pieces, so I can imagine that they are going to reuse this mold at some point, but just how much detail went into this figure. It's really hard for me to find anything to gripe about this figure quality control wise, because it looks really good. You can see he does have some bones right here, so that's a really nice little detail. And I feel like I've ranted a lot about the detail, but you know what? He actually has so much going on that if I miss something, I do apologize, but I just can't get all of his detail in here. Hopefully the pictures I post at the end of the video will show you more of what he can do. But with that out of the way, guys, let's actually move on to some comparisons. Here we have the Alpha Predator posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have the Alpha Predator posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have the Alpha Predator posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we have the Alpha Predator posed next to the City Hunter Predator, the Enforcer Predator, the Bad Blood Predator, and the Jungle Hunter Predator. And for one final comparison, here we do have the Alpha Predator posed next to the Ahab Predator and the Scarface Predator. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to his articulation now. The Alpha Predator does have a really nice ball joint right here in the head. He does look up, can look down, can tilt his head side to side, rotates his head left and right, no problem. And I do like that the dreads, the Predator dreads are soft plastic, so they do get out of the way. Really do like that. Arms are on ball joints that do go out to the side, only to about there. It isn't ideal, but it's good enough for a Predator figure. We do get full rotation at the arm, and the armor doesn't hinder articulation because it is a nice soft plastic. We don't have a bicep swivel, but we do have rotation right down here at the elbow, and it's pretty well hidden underneath his wrappings right there. He does have a double bend at the elbow. Works no problem, and I do like the range in that. That's really good range, especially for a Predator. He does have a swivel and hinge at the wrist, and you can see that this gauntlet does like to fall off when you move his arm too much, so do be aware of that. Not a big knock against the figure because it's such a minor thing. Despite having this armor plating rib cage right here, he actually does get a surprising amount of range right here. It's not the best range we've ever seen, but for a Predator figure to crouch down like that and then to arch back like that with this much armor in the way, it's really good. I'm not gonna lie. It does rotate left and right there. We do have another ball joint down here at the torso, which rotates left and right, goes back, goes forward even more. So combining those two, we get decent enough range, so I'm not complaining about that. Legs do kick forward only to about right here, and that is kind of forcing it, so do be aware of that. Legs do go back only to about there because the skirt piece will kick the legs back forward, so that's a little bit of a downside. Legs do kick out to the side, no problem. We do have a thigh swivel up high. We have a double bend at the knee, which works really good. He kicks really high. Then we also do get rotation at his knee. We also do get it is a barbell joint right here in the foot, so it does rotate or rock left and right really well. Does rotate, goes forward and back pretty well, so really good range of articulation here in the ankles. All the engineering that they did on this Predator is a combination of what they've been working on, and it shows that his articulation, it far exceeds anything that came before him, and I absolutely love it. So, with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get this guy posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Alpha Predator posed for my final thoughts, and overall this is a gorgeous, gorgeous figure. There is almost nothing that I found wrong with this figure, with the exception of some quality control issues that I did encounter on mine, being his alternate hands don't peg in tightly. That's something I really wish that they did, because holding the spear up isn't possible with my figure, unfortunately, unless he's using two hands. But that's not enough for me to say this isn't a good figure. The amount of detail that NECA put into the Alpha Predator is worthy of anybody's display, and I really do love the callback to the original Predator suit with this helmet. Now, in case you didn't know, the helmet that he has on him right now is originally based off the Jean-Claude Van Damme Predator. Originally, Jean-Claude Van Damme was going to be the Predator, and the helmet that he has on him right now resembles the original design for the Predator. So I really love that callback. That makes this figure so much nicer, in my opinion. If you are looking for the Alpha Predator, at the time I'm making this video, he is starting to ship to stores right now, so you can get him off NECA's eBay site. You can find him at Target, Walmart, or your local hobby shops. I did pick mine up from my local comic book store, so huge shout out to the good folks of Black Sheep Comics for getting this out to me so I could review it for you guys. The Alpha Predator here is a wonderful piece to own if you're a Predator fan, and the callback to the Jean-Claude Van Damme Predator is something that I think everybody will enjoy. And the amazing thing about this figure is that he's only $25. With the amount of detail that went into him, NECA could have easily charged $35 for him, but they kept the price down to $25, which is perfect in my book. So if you can find the Alpha Predator and you're a fan of the Predator series, or you just want a really gorgeous looking threatening piece, this is your figure. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, go check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other NECA and Predator videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.